Alright, sick. Alright. The war against misogyny begins here. Yo. I'm also post this on my channel. Welcome everybody that's in the stream. I don't know if anyone is yet, but shout out to you if you are. Alright. Real. Made it a lot easier for me to like stream it as I played it. A lot less scary of a copyright, I should say. Welcome everybody. Let me see what some of the. Okay, so how do you want to start this out? I thought it was interesting. Obviously, they made it clear the reboot has to be started by the Flash movie, and so obviously we won't get Superman. So I'm curious to see. I thought off first glance that the art he was using and some of the stuff like that was based. It looked like All-Star Superman art, but it might not have been. If it is All-Star Superman, that'd be really weird because that's like the run where he gets cancer from too much sun exposure. Um, so would yeah, that'd be fucking weird. So I'm not. I know they're going with some Grant Morrison stuff for like Bat Family shit. So maybe they go with the Superman around that time. We know they're going with a modern Supergirl from the Tom King run. So I don't know what kind of fucking Superman we're gonna get. It's called Superman Legacy. Are they gonna show him like doing a bunch of shit? Is this like a Superman that's been at it for a few years? Like I don't fucking. I have no idea. No idea. Yeah, I think they might give us a glimpse of a few of like Superman's battles and stories up to that point, with the likely reset being a Flashpoint type scenario with the Flash movie. I definitely would see them at that point giving us a Superman that's like been around the block, and we're just kind of catching up to what he's been up to. That's why I said it's possible they do go All-Star Superman. I'm not fucking sure. Be weird for them to do, but hey, they've done weirder. So maybe they do that and go. That's also a threat because, like, there's Supergirl. We know Supergirl is joining, so it's like, fuck, are they going to kill Superman? And just have Supergirl chill? My first thoughts upon seeing the announcement and the tone they were going for, I didn't read the Tom King run, so I can't really speak on it. Like, I haven't read it. I saw some of the pictures they put in there for it, but based on how he described it and how he described the tone, it sounds like the post-crisis run I read, where they really hammered down that Supergirl is not Superman. Like, she really saw her people die. Superman didn't grow up like that. And then she gets a message from her dad saying, like, she was supposed to be the chosen one, not really Clark. Like, it was actually supposed to be her. She was the hope of Krypton. But she never got a chance to really be that. So there's a lot of deep resentment there with, like, Superman. There's also, like, the fact she relates more to Batman because of what he went through and endured. And that's kind of how she feels. Like, you know, sometimes, like, fuck the world, I'm gonna hide away, and whatever problems arise, I have a plan for that shit. Like, she is a much darker tone, and that Supergirl is amazing. Like I said, I haven't read King's Run, but if they go for that tone of Supergirl, where it's not some weird, corny, like, kind of comedic, but it's instead, yo, this is a girl that grew up and saw everyone around her die. Like, she's not she's from the trenches. She's Superman from the trenches. I think that's a very endearing character. Someone said they can't hear you. I don't know if something happened. Is your audio compromised? Did James Gunn say fuck you?
Oh,
What
James
happened?
Gunn. James Gunn's on to me. Yo. How about now, boys? Let's see what we got. Every once in a while, OBS managed to shit to bed. But, yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how Robin's done on the big screen, because I think a lot of people, whenever they look at Robin, kind of have a PTSD from how, like, Batman Forever kind of portrayed Robin. And Damian Wayne, albeit being one of the more savage, one of the more brutal versions of Robin, it's definitely a step in the right direction, but I think they're going to have to tiptoe very carefully in order to approach that situation without him just being, like, pretty lame.
Alright, so I actually have a completely different take. I fucking love Damian Wayne.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Damian Wayne, to me, was always a spicy version and take on the Robin that was refreshing. Like, this was, in a lot of ways, a Robin that called Batman out on his bullshit. Like, he's like, yo, you mean to tell me you'll put someone in the hospital for 8 months while laughing, but, like, I can't kill someone? Like, you basically fucking killed that person. They'll be a vegetable for their whole life. Like, how are you some, like, moral god? You're running around beating the shit out of people. Like, stuff like that. The way he would bounce off Batman's character. The fact that Damian Wade's fascinating to me because his potential's unreal. Yeah. He's a 12-year-old super Robin. Like, he's trained for it from day one. He's trained with some of the best in DC. And it makes him an insanely potential-filled character that could eventually, and I think this would be brilliant on the part of DCU, he could potentially be built up to where in 10 years, he takes the throne of Batman.
Yeah.
And we get a wild Batman arc. They have a lot of potential there. I think he's a really dope dynamic for Batman, and I'm curious to see how they work with him on the screen.
If you could think of somebody who could play Damian, is there anybody you have in mind? I'm just curious. Or even this version of Batman, because clearly this is going to be very different than, like, Robert Pattinson's.
Current?
Yeah.
Okay, so Damian Wayne right now, shit, they gotta, I don't know any, like, child actors right now off the top of my head that would, like, be decent as Damian. I would say for Batman, you know what? Fucking sell out on the acting. Just be like, you know what? We're going to give him limited lines. We're going to Darth Maul this shit. We're just going to make Batman cool and edgy as fuck. And make it Scott Adkins. He looks like a Bruce Wayne. He's familiar with big screen shit. He was in Doctor Strange as one of the bad guys. And he would be a 12 out of 10 in fight scenes. Like, we would get the best fight scenes in Batman history.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see. I'm just really weirded out to see what they're going to do in general with the success of, like, Robert Pattinson's Batman, and to see kind of like more of like a gritty, realistic take on it. I'm curious whether they're going to step that back or they're going to amp it up, especially somebody as savage as, like, Damian Wayne is in general. But,
man, I think Damian Wayne on the big screen could lead to some wild stories.
But apparently this is going to be based on the Brave and the Bold series, or off Grant Morrison's Batman comics and Tom King's run as well. And I'm noticing that, like, a lot of the things that he's drawing off of is Tom King. I wonder if James Gunn is just, like, a really big Tom King fan.
Are they smashing?
I mean, you never know. It wouldn't surprise me if I'm being 100% honest.
It's kind of crazy how he's, like, relying on him.
On a lot of Tom King shit. But next up, speaking of smashing, we have Paradise Lost, which is a Wonder Woman prequel HBO Max series. So this one is real odd. Prequels always suck in my opinion. I'm never a fan of prequels, and I don't believe this will be like the Gal Gadot stuff, but maybe this is like a prequel to her first movie or something down the way. But honestly, I'm gonna be the guy to call it out. Like, I just don't really care about the Themyscirans, unless like they're fighting Greek gods or like dealing with problems with the Greek gods. Most of the time, just focusing on like the Themysciran Island in general is just like pretty boring stuff. Like, you just can't wait to get off of it. I mean, half of Wonder Woman's entire story is like waiting to get off the damn island. So this one I'm looking forward to a little bit less, but I definitely could see some potential with it. If they do play their cards right, I mean, maybe they'll be playing this in a way to where they're trying to compete with the Percy Jackson series that's coming out down the way. So maybe they'll have kind of like more of like a Greek god influence and less of just like Themysciran problems on the island, which would be pretty dope. That's my favorite parts about Wonder Woman, is when she messes with the rest of the gods.
I'm gonna be real. I don't give a fuck about the Amazons.
Nobody does.
Like,
literally no one.
Yeah, like their storytelling is just not that moving. Like I can't see myself being like enthralled to watch like Wonder Woman growing up on Themyscira. I don't really care. I
feel like Themyscira suffers from like Spider-Man syndrome. It's like Marvel just wants to keep Spider-Man this young dumb teenager like for infinitely. And like the Themyscirans suffer from like similar problems where they're just always the same thing forever, and we don't see like a ton of development or anything from them. And even if we do, it just kind of set back later on, which is kind of unfortunate. But yeah, I'm just not really caring too much about this one, pretty much at all. But they're at least basing it off of Phil Jimenez and George Perez's Paradise Lost series, which, rest in peace, George Perez. I'm pretty sure he passed on a while back. He created some really dope characters, too, in his time. But something I think does have a lot of potential if they do it right, which I'm not sure they will, but the Booster Gold HBO Max series. How do you feel about them trying to do Booster Gold in general? Because there's a lot of comedy involved with this, and I feel like James Gunn could really potentially hit some of the high notes of Booster Gold's character pretty well.
Bro, cast Will Ferrell as Booster Gold. It's like Booster Gold to me, that like when I first saw that, I was like, okay, this is Gunn. Gunn's gonna try to Star-Lord the shit out of Booster Gold.
Yeah. I could see that too, even especially with like his equipment and stuff like that. And he's kind of like this goony character who is just a washed up high school jock, you know? Oh, that moved that bad boy over.
Yeah, like
One of the big issues I do see happening potentially in this run is time travel. Time travel on, I guess it's at least in the HBO Max series, especially in movies, time travel's done horrifically bad, pretty consistently. TV series tend to have a little bit more opportunity, I think, to get that right. So, it also depends on how they do time traveling in general. So, hopefully it's a W.
And which project is that with time traveling?
Booster Gold. It says they're going to focus on time travel and
brought up
like
a
that.
different one.
Yeah, no.
I think we'll get an air of like Invincible type humor and Star-Lord type humor and like exploration. That's gonna be it. I think if they do that, that's pretty fun. They make that just a fun series. I think that's what I'll say. If you're a fan of Star-Lord in the MCU, you should be pretty excited for Booster Gold. Like Booster Gold's clearly, just based on how Gunn is, he's gonna love doing that character.
It's interesting to note that it's labeled as a comedy series too, so that's pretty interesting. So clearly they're taking that in a very specific direction. But up next we have the animated movie that is the Creature Commandos. Oh no!
Oh yeah, what a winner!
Yeah, like I'm not gonna lie.
What a box office!
Like I am pretty invested in DC Comics. I don't care about these losers. Like, who cares about Creature Command? I can name one person from this team. one, and that's Frankenstein.
I get too. I saw Frankenstein.
Yeah, it's Frankenstein. That's it. I think
was like,
maybe his wife is hanging out on this group.
I was like, who the fuck are these people? And I was like, oh, hey, Frankenstein.
This motherfucker over here looks like Mumra from Thundercats. Okay, like, come on, man. Like, how are you gonna make an animated series on this? Out of all the places, characters, and villains you could touch up upon, why are we focusing animated movies on fucking Creature Commandos? At one point in time, DC had arguably the best animated studio ever. I mean, they were producing bangers left and right. And I feel like as time has gone on, I guess just forgot about that, or like ceased caring about, like DC ceased caring about their animated like entire foundations. So it kind of sucks to see this, which is essentially just a wasted, like a wasted opportunity for something good, in my opinion.
This is like a slot that easily could have been, and we'll probably do this in the stream, like projects we would have liked to see here.
True.
And maybe we'll speak on what it could replace. But this is just a project that, to me, it seems like a hodgepodge of, like, Gunn's going for the approach of, okay, let's put down a bunch of characters that people can't show up and be like, oh, we're comic book purists, you fucked up this character. Like, it's got to be characters no one's tethered to. And he did it, because I didn't fucking know who was on the screen except for Frankenstein. So I'm like, oh shit, like, that strategy might be gold. They can do whatever on the, like, so here's the thing. That's the type of show that is, it's so weird how they just randomly threw that on there, that, like, if someone hit me up and was like, yo, have you heard of Creatures Commando? I'd be like, yeah, it looked weird. They're like, yo, it's fire. Check it out. I'd be like, you know what? It's so random and how it's portrayed, it might be fire. I'd check it out. So that's either going to be a big hit or it's going to be a Velma disaster.
Yeah.
Like,
I hope it's success, just because I hope DC success in general, but like, I ain't putting my money on that one, Chief. That's for sure. It's looking pretty piss poor in the current moment, to say the least.
I don't know. It's like one of those where it's like, okay, Gunn could either just have so much creative freedom here that he could make a banger, or he could just fuck it up.
Now, as you were saying earlier, it is interesting to know that they're looking for actors who will voice act the characters within this. So if they show up in the live action stuff later on, they'll still be capable of using them. So I will admit, that's something cool and that's something interesting for DC to be doing in general. That way it gives you some level of immersion and some level of consistency within the verse. Definitely an awesome idea, and hopefully as time goes on we see a little bit more of that. But I mean, I'm not excited for this one, to say the least. One thing I do know you and me were both pretty excited about in general was Amanda Waller and her series that's going on. I think this will be a really interesting take on the more brutal side of like the American government that we've kind of been getting glimpses of throughout a variety of DC products throughout, I mean, the majority of the DC content in general. Like in Black Adam, we came across her and her shenanigans. In Peacemaker, she's like a character. In Suicide Squad, clearly, since she leads it, she's got all sorts of stuff going on. And Amanda Waller has become like a really solid character for the DC universe in general. That's like a consistent problem in general whenever it comes to, I mean, big time heroes, small time heroes, villains. It doesn't really matter. I'm kind of curious to see exactly what they're going to do with her.
I think Waller is going to be portrayed as an absolute bitch. I think they're bringing in a Viola Davis Waller that's like starting smoke with everyone. Like, oh, you think you can just fucking fly around my city? You think the government's going to go for that? Like, she's going to be on that shit. Like Waller was made to be hated. I didn't like her in the Arrow show because I was like, she's not that hateable. We need Waller to be like, I fucking hate that bitch. Like, she's so problematic in DC that I think their show could just be Waller being a fucking problem for everybody. No one really liking her, being her. She's like really problematic. And as a result, it's like, God, like, what's Waller gonna do next?
Yeah.
Like, Jesus. I think that series might be fucking electric.
I know that they're trying to do like a really connected verse, so every different character and show are all going to be intertwined in terms of some sort of large story that's holding everyone together. And I'm curious to see her place within all of this, because Amanda Waller she's got her head in everything, and so it makes sense to see her kind of pop up on this list and be involved for sure. James Gunn literally described Waller as the greatest show ever. So that's an interesting take, to say the least, because the next show on our list I'd have to hope is better than Waller, and that's Lanterns, which is going to be the Green Lanterns HBO Max series, which they've been hyping this up for over half a decade. Like, honestly, people have been begging for this ever since the last Green Lantern series came out, and I'm really, really, really hoping it's successful, because the Lanterns, especially after the last Green Lantern movie, need something to kind of pull themselves out of the dirt whenever it comes to the big screen or even like a series. And we know this will be like a 2-part special where they're like buddy cops investigating some sort of big mystery that'll play a huge role within the greater context of this chapter 1 inside of the DCU. And I'm really hoping it's a W, because a detective series can be really good, especially in a crazy verse like DC. But man, as a huge Lantern fan, I'm really hoping it's a W, man, especially with Hal and John being like the main 2 characters, because people have speculated for quite some time who exactly is going to be the main character of this run.
Yeah, I was pretty pumped when I heard the announcement, especially with the fact that a couple core reasons. One, Jon Stewart. We're getting a live action Jon Stewart. I think that's going to be fucking amazing. He said they're going for almost like the space sector cop buddy approach.
Yeah.
Not mad at that. There's some potential there. And because of that, I see they better pick a good Stewart. And another thing that's important too is he said they are going to be encountering a problem that will end up being an entire DCU problem. So no doubt they're going to be dealing with one of the big bads or incoming big bads for the DCU, probably Darkseid or something. So it will be this has to be a major win for them, the Lantern show. Because if they can come back and just completely blow us away with a Lantern portrayal, a lot of DC fans would be excited.
Thanks. The Lanterns are just super hype for me. I was a little bit upset to hear that I think it's like Berlantine's Green Lantern series was canceled, because his vision was more of like a space opera versus just like a detective story. I wish we could have stuck with something a little bit more space oriented, not just Earth oriented. But honestly, the fact we're getting Green Lanterns at all in a storyline versus a random flashback where a Lantern died against Darkseid, like, I'm just happy we're at least getting something, and I really, really hope it's something sick. I would like to see them investigate some really wild stuff, and I hope it's outside of Darkseid, because I feel like it seems like everything always manages to come back to Darkseid, given he's like the OG evil within DC. I'm just hoping for once we kind of are moving away from just that exact same story, and whenever it comes to Darkseid just causing problems for everyone. But who knows what it'll offer. I just really hope it's really dope. And if Gods and Monsters is the main theme for this part 1, it really makes the brain wonder exactly what they're going to come across, because Gods definitely could be befitting of Darkseid, but it could be befitting of all sorts of different things within the context of DC.
Evil darkness.
Oh yeah, they come across the Great Darkness. Oh no!
We just fight the big dog right now.
And speaking of characters,
If it's not Darkseid, I would see like a God, a monster. I would see like a Doomsday being involved. That's a monster.
that would be dope. Yeah.
Like the Doom, maybe the Lanterns discover the Doomsday Project. But there was in I think this is going to lead to Final Crisis.
Think so, huh?
Because remember, it's the Lanterns that investigated the fallen old god.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck is going on? That's what led. Final Crisis kind of sucked as a comic.
Yeah, it's true.
So, but
all you Superman Beyond fans, I'm sorry.
Try to portray that.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I did not like Final Crisis. I thought that shit was extremely mid.
Yeah.
They tried to like pass it off as goated because Batman shoots Darkseid, but it's like, all right, relax.
It's like, yo, okay, Batman shot Darkseid.
That's another Tuesday.
We got Cosmic Armor Superman. Like, okay, chill. Like, this event, just because there was some flashy moments in it, doesn't mean it's good. And I hope we don't get something like that inside this show, because just like we've been discussing, like with Marvel and stuff like that, they built themselves up. Each character had like their straightforward story arc, something that felt real, felt reasonable, and felt understandable. Hopefully, the first thing the Lanterns aren't doing is fighting like Darkseid or something like that, or like dealing with new gods. Give them some time to build up. I don't want it to be an origin story, because origin stories have been way overplayed, clearly. But I would like to see.
They definitely in the pictures showed Yellow Lantern.
Yeah, I saw that. They're using Earth, I think Earth 1, or no, not Earth 1, I can't remember the exact title of it, but like, it was like a really down-to-earth version, where like, Hal was an astronaut who went to the moon and found like Avengers' body, and I don't even remember John Stewart with the Yellow Lantern ring in that run, but yeah, that wouldn't make any sense as to why John got a yellow ring, because out of all the rings I could ever not only see him having, but like, think of him having wielded. I don't think he's ever wielded a Yellow Lantern ring. But who knows? They might throw something at us that's just really interesting. And I just hope it's success. Even if it's not accurate, I just hope it's successful.
Man, watch them discover greed.
Oh my god.
And then Larfleeze just ends the DCU and causes a reboot.
Yo, Larfleeze would just literally gun down absolutely everybody. But then again, you know, in the movie version, I'm sure he'd be like this, like, completely stupid idiot who has got, like, no fucking powers and there's no clue what he's doing. They'd probably take the more animated, like, Larfleeze approach, where he's just not the guy he is in the comics.
I think Lantern series will also have a dope Batman crossover.
They should, because those two have huge issues with one another.
Imagine a badass scene where, like, I don't know, one of them's like fucking brawling with someone pretty damn strong, and I forgot which Lantern said it to him. I think it was Stewart that was vibe checking Batman. He was like, Batman, you know why you really hate Hal, right? And he's like, you can't stand the fact that someone has more will than you.
Yeah, it's 2005's Green Lantern Rebirth. Fire, yeah.
Yeah, that was Cat, by the way. I definitely take Batman's will over Hal's, but I appreciate the sentiment.
He says he's just not afraid of you. Your whole thing is fear. You make everybody afraid of you, and Hal's not afraid of you. He ain't afraid to take your shit because you're a fucking asshole.
Hal also ran up on Big Sinestro. He got one-shotted for his problems.
Hey, to be fair, that's everybody who runs up in a 1v1 against my boy Sinestro. I ain't gonna tell you no on that one, man. He's the fucking goat.
Sinestro said, "Look at this bum."
Like, oh, you think you know patience? You think you know control? I'll show you control.
Dude, the way he manhandled Hal looked like security at a concert that caught someone jumping on stage. Like, Hal jumped on stage and got manhandled.
Get the fuck off stage, boy. Yeah, that run is sick, dude. And yeah, Sinestro just abuses Hal in that run, man. 6 parallax on him like a fucking dog.
He said, yeah, when he thought he fucked up at the end, he said, I made a Hal Jordan level mistake.
He said the
like,
funniest shit,
it all up. Oh. Yeah, Sinestro was funny as hell for that. He said, this is a Hal Jordan level fuck up. Like, whoops. I was like, God, he's relentless. But nah, Yeah, Lanterns, I don't think they'll miss with Lanterns.
I'm really hoping.
I genuinely don't think they'll miss.
How about Swamp Thing? I'll let you take the lead on Swamp Thing.
From what I recall, I never got to watch the Swamp Thing series. I just never got around to it, but I heard it was liked by those that did watch. Like, they're very sad that it didn't get the love it deserved or whatever. We know for a fact Gunn says they're going for darker turns there and such, and darker storytelling, like basically horror. Yeah. So I think they're gonna go for this epic, like, story of adventure through hell. Like, Swamp Thing had a lot of stories where he's like gone to hell, especially in Golden Age. They probably will go with some of the Justice League Dark as well. Maybe introduce some of them through Swamp Thing, with the potential for the Justice League Dark or whatever. But his story, I definitely think they're smart for outright admitting, yeah, no, we're not going to go for like some weird comedy. This is going to be dark. So that has a chance. I think he did say he has like the writer of Watchmen working on that as well.
Yeah. I'm really interested to see exactly what they approach, and hopefully it is more of like the abstract stuff. I think Swamp Thing's at his best whenever he's not just like walking around playing like eco-terrorist. I think it's much funner to see him mess with the green, and as you said, like beings from hell, and like just interacting with like the higher cosmology and like the really messed up stuff that exists out there, because the green is so like wild and so it's such like a crazy thing, and so hopefully it's not just like, you know, Swamp Thing stops a car, you know, guys trying to burn down a forest. That could be part of it, but I want it to be a little bit more than that. And I remember Gunn specifically saying he wanted to one up that Swamp Thing show that you're messing with, and he even wanted to make more crossovers with like Batman and Superman and stuff like that from these other movies we've kind of already referenced so far. So I think that'll be pretty dope. I really look forward to seeing more characters interact with one another from this kind of perspective. But in a movie that seems a little bit interesting, I'd like to just sit down and mess with Swamp Thing's character first and foremost. Also, thanks for the big dono. Got any grapes? I know he's an OG member of the crew over here. Big shout outs to my boy. Now, this next one, I gotta let you handle, okay? This isn't even a doubt, alright? They announced the Authority. Hit me with it. Hit me with what you got on this one, because I know you got strong opinions on this action.
Yeah. So, when it first dropped, I like blacked out. I was like, oh my god, Midnighter. Live action. We made it. That's like a video for years. Not a video, movie for years. I've talked about like, man, imagine if we ever got a Midnighter movie. And to see that is gonna happen, I'm hyped. What's interesting, they're going Authority. Why is that key? They could have gone Stormwatch. Stormwatch was shown in New 52 as the clear-cut DC crossover, but instead, they're going with the OG Authority. I find this interesting because that almost gives credence to the idea of darker, grittier DC.
Yeah, because they're all Wildstorm, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's not nearly that level, but same author that did The Boys.
Oh, okay.
So they have potential for like, that's the fucking Authority is like the same run where Midnighter kidnapped like baby Hitler or some shit. He got real, son. The trenches were horrendous. So there's what I told you off recording or live stream. My biggest disappointment is it's not a series. I feel like authority is really defined. The authority is really defined by like its hodgepodge of stories, its different tales and chapters that ultimately read this very interesting book about the authority, this weird ass, almost like interdimensional cop group. But they're not really cops because they're all assholes. They're more like vigilantes. So this is gonna be very interesting to see. They better fucking cast Midnighter and have him portrayed perfectly, or I will walk out of that theater. Like, I will be so fucking mad. I will say, because it's movie format, I have no doubt there's potential they're going to try to Guardians of the Galaxy the shit out of it. And I think at that point they would have, like, Midnighter be the Star-Lord. Another reason this is most likely to happen is because if they're doing something like Midnighter, they're straight up the LGBT agenda. I'm here for it because it's more screen time for Midnighter. So I feel like he's going to be the heaviest portrayed character in the movie. I just don't know. I don't know what they'll do for the main overlying story of the movie. My guess, they're probably just going to go for some sort of origin.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what they're going to do with all of these characters in general, because I'll even to me, because I wasn't as crazy into Wildstorm, a few of these characters are pretty in the unknown category for me. I do recognize that, like, James Gunn, just like the Guardians of the Galaxy back in the day, is definitely targeting a lesser known group and trying to make them big so he can kind of define himself as the guy who created them and made them wildly successful. I hope it's success because, like, Midnighter's pretty dope. He's a pretty dang character. He crossed over in the Red Lanterns run, and it was pretty fire in his era with Stormwatch, so I'm pretty hyped.
Yeah, it's Warren Ellis. Yeah, Warren Ellis did Authority. My bad. Warren Ellis run is like probably the goated run for Authority. It's just will be interesting to see what that movie's rated.
Yeah.
Hit me back when the movie's rating drops, because that's how my
that'll define it, huh?
If it's R, I'm buying an entire row in the movie theater to myself.
Let's go!
Like, this is gonna be the greatest fucking experience ever. If it's R, I'm like, oh yeah, nah. Midnight is about to while out.
It's gonna be there's bad. No baby Hitler in there, so.
If it's PG-13, I'm gonna hesitate. I'm gonna see it because Midnighter. Like, I just, even if it's shitty, I gotta show up for Midnighter. You know? It's
yeah.
The goat's gonna be on the fucking screen. Nothing I can do. So. I'm showing up regardless, but I definitely hesitate a lot more with PG-13.
Yeah, you can tell, like, the intent and exactly what you think will be, like, really solid as a result. But, I mean, hey, at least it's something. Midnighter even making it to the big screen. Who would have thought? If you would have asked me, like, yo, the DC slate of movies is coming out soon, like, who do you think is going to be in there? I would have liked to see Midnighter there, but I never in a million years would have guessed he would have been one of the people chosen. So that's pretty wild. And last but
we're getting Midnighter.
Like, last but not least, we got the next Batman Part 2, which is what's his name? Robert Pattinson's reprisal as Batman. And I'm really curious to see what they're going to do, because I know it kind of left off on a cliffhanger in the last one. And apparently there's going to be a Penguin series that'll lead into this movie. And it definitely appears to be that the Joker is going to be making an appearance in this one. I don't know how you feel about the last Batman movie. I didn't think it was bad or anything along those lines. There was moments that definitely felt Batman, and then there was moments which felt incredibly horrible, which was basically just anytime Bruce Wayne was on screen. But I'm hoping that this one has the same kind of energy as the last one, and we keep up that kind of That kind of vibe he had when he was Batman and was on screen, being really brutal and really intimidating to people and characters. How about you?
Shit. Let me think about this.
I think the Penguin was a banger-ass Penguin, dude. That guy motherfucking looked like Penguin.
No, okay, so I think we have a problem. So, the problem is, to me, Batman was a banger. It was really good. It was a really good movie. I fucking enjoyed the shit out of watching it. I remember being in theater watching it and being like, there's like certain points in the movie I'm like, man, the way they're fucking building up Gotham, like exploring Gotham.
Good. Yeah.
We've seen Batman be through a lot of shit and throughout his time in movies and like shows too. But their foreboding sense of this young Batman at certain points in the movie just absolutely being worn down with the bitter truth about Gotham.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It's like an unending cycle. Like, you just felt that on screen. You're like, fuck, I understand why he's so frustrated. And it led to like a really banger movie with the audience really being enthralled by the inner workings of Gotham. This is a problem because the scaling sucks. I could probably fight that Batman like right now.
True.
He's like, he got popped with a shotgun close range. Like, my ribs, like he was cooked. So I don't know, like his scaling wasn't that good, so they couldn't really bring him into the main verse. He's gonna die pretty fast, just doesn't scale. But he's also a banger. So you gotta just, my opinion, make it an Elseworld.
Yeah.
Maybe have some cool references here and there. But yeah, leave it in Elseworld. Just cook within that own verse. Penguin was amazing. Colin Farrell, you couldn't even recognize him, as he was just, he stole the show. Definitely happy to watch that series. It's kind of random, but they might be also capitalizing off, I don't know if you ever saw Gotham, but Penguin was like a big hit on that show.
Yeah. People really
like,
seem to be enjoying his character in the mainstream,
character. Yeah, like his portrayal in Gotham was fucking comedy. So, that's a big one. Like, that's Penguin could cook. I think Colin Farrell would be amazing.
Yeah, and he did really good in that role, man. I can't stress that enough.
Here's another thing too. Your new Batman's got to be sick. Like,
yeah,
he's got to be able to match the star power of Pattinson. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I went into the Batman movie kind of a hater. I was like, I just don't know if Pattinson can pull this off. I left that movie being like, man, like fucking Pattinson acted his ass off. Like, I know you said you didn't like Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, his interpretation
but
of Bruce Wayne.
I would like to say this. I felt like he captured a part of Bruce Wayne I've never really gotten to see on screen. And that's like, with those he actually gives a fuck about, like his awkward nature. Like Alfred, right? That relationship was so interesting to see on screen because there's not too many things in the world that can do anything to Batman. One of those is Alfred. And as someone who's like dedicated his life to like being this antisocial fucking vigilante that'll save a never-ending cycle of crime by himself, like that, the fact that he's focused all on that and is so kind of socially awkward, I bought into that. Like, I appreciated that approach.
I just thought,
like the dude was almost in like psychosis at that point from fucking grinding as Batman.
Like, I get that. It's just, he was such a fucking dick. Even to Alfred, bro. Like, Alfred literally takes a bomb from him. And then, like, he's sitting there at the hospital bed with him after, like, he literally takes the bomb in for him. And he starts yelling at him. It was like, bro, come on. Like, Batman's gotta be, like, Bruce Wayne's gotta be.
And then he held his hand after, bro.
Yeah,
he was going through
like,
some shit.
How you doing that? Like, come on.
Here's the thing. Oh, hold on. But, like, Bale does it. Bale does it and then, like, leaves. At least with him, he, like, yelled, but that was because, like, he felt so powerless. And then he held his hand. And, like, he let Alfred know, like, my fault, OG.
What I do hope for within this movie is them to keep up, like, the energy he had as Batman. Like, that first scene whenever, like, he's walking through the, like, the darkness and stuff like that, and, like, it's night, and so all the criminals, like, start running away. Like, he had the energy of Batman, and, like, I really did, like, value that. I think that shit was awesome, and I hope that they keep that same kind of, like, presence for him, and it's only gotten stronger now that he's, like, truly situated into the role of being Batman. And I really hope that continues in this one. Well, do you think Joker will be the villain? Do you think that's where it will be?
Nah, I think Batman 2... What'd they call it? Did they just call it Batman 2?
Yeah, it's just a Batman sequel, part 2. Yeah, the Batman part 2.
Okay. I think we could potentially see an Arkham Asylum.
Ooh, okay.
If we don't see that, we could potentially see like a Deathstroke. I think they will continue to tease Joker. I don't think we will get Joker until like the 3rd or 4th movie.
Yeah, I don't think we should. I agree 100% with that.
This Batman as well, due to the nature of like Gotham at this current stage, due to the fact there's a lot of flood damage, Killer Croc.
Oh, I could see that, yeah.
Feel like he snuck in during the water and shit.
I've got positive hopes for it for sure, which is better than I can say about a few others on this list. I'm definitely looking forward to this one, especially now that we're finally out of the I'm an amateur Batman kind of stuff. I think this one could really hit hard if they play their cards appropriately. But that being said, give us a rundown. Which one of these are you most excited for?
I would say out of all of these, I am most excited for Lanterns.
Oh, okay. Same. What makes you more excited for Lanterns in comparison to everything else here?
They said, fuck it, we're putting 2 A-list Lanterns on the screen at the same time. This would be like, not as extreme, but like a Thor and Hulk movie or series.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely.
It's like not as significant as Thor and Hulk, but I guess it would be like a Robbie Reyes and Johnny Blaze
team up. Yeah. It is really cool to see them try and balance 2 out, because especially in like the last 20 years or so, you almost always have 2 of the main Earth Lanterns hanging out with one another. So it's going to be very reflective of like the current day media whenever it comes to seeing like all the lanterns together, or at least some lanterns working together, because I mean, over 20 years has been 2 lanterns per space sector, and so there's no reason not to have them both there, and you can appeal to a wider audience that way. And Jon Stewart right now, like, I don't know what the deal is with him, but he is on fire. Like, everybody wants Jon Stewart, and everybody wants, like, content involving him. Everybody loves him. That animated series really, I feel like, boomed his character and just made him a fan favorite at this point in time. And I'm curious to see if we'll get like day one Jon Stewart, or we'll get more of the more current day like Jon Stewart, where he's like a cold military veteran who's like much more methodical and straight to the punch, versus like Hal Jordan, who's just like explosive and just wants to do everything. I wonder if they'll play those two personalities against one another, or they'll do more of like the older approach where like Hal Jordan was the more refined, constrictive person. Whenever it is like everything was much more by the books with him, and Jon Stewart was like a wild card in terms of the shit he would do and the shit he would say. God, he said some crazy ass shit upon his release. So I'm definitely looking forward to Lanterns more, and seeing exactly what we can get from pretty much everything here in terms of what James Gunn is hyping us up for. But the one thing I will say when it comes to any of these is that I don't really believe it until I see it, based on the history we have with like DC, and more specifically like Warner Brothers actually like releasing slates. They release slates, and then they just shove everything back, or it just entirely gets canceled. So I'm hopeful, but not gonna be heartbroken if none of this shit happens.
Yeah, I'd also say obviously my second one is Creature Commandos.
Yeah,
oh my god!
That's the dumbest
Nah,
shit.
it's Authority.
Yeah, the Creature Commandos, dude. Oh my god, I can't believe we're actually getting that rather than like a good animated series. But I mean, I'll give it a shot. I'll give anything a shot. If it's good, I'll let y'all know. But it definitely, upon first glance, is not appearing to be the best content. But definitely Lucky Number 2 is going to that Authority. I'm really curious to see what Wildstorm can offer on the big screen, especially for like a real big fucking movie, man. But I tell you what, you got anything else you want to add to this bad boy?
Nah, I think I'm about ready to wrap it up.
Well, boys and girls, it was a blast having you out. Be sure to like and subscribe to both myself and boy Jobbers and Goons over here. And if you guys are more interested in content like this and me covering more DCU content, definitely let me know down low. And it was a blast hanging out. I'd like to say thanks to everybody in chat, including Caesar of Rome, Got Any Grapes, Not Too OG, as well as a variety of other people. So I appreciate y'all for your time. And as always, we'll see you next time, Lanterns. Later. All right, we're good to go.